This is the Pitch of Discontent. I am Owen,
I'm Paige.
and you are watching the weekly roundup, episode 201.
Weekly roundup.
We crossed the 200 barrier, and funnily enough, this will also be the last roundup episode for 2024.
It's also been exactly a year since we moved to Victoria.
Yeah, weird.
I know.
Weird vibe.
Time is linear.
Yep, time
That's
also doesn't exist. So.
Fact. Time is a human construct. You can have cake for breakfast because it's all made up. Although I guess your body metabolizes things at different times of fasting, breaking and stuff.
True, that is correct.
But cake is good.
Cake is real good. This just in, cake, good. Paige, do you have anything that you would like to mention at the top of today's show?
Just that right before I got sat down over here, I saw a TikTok of someone being like, I'm convinced that my two favorite podcasters are going to get divorced. Yeah. And I'm narcissistic enough to think that one of our 50 weekly subscribers is posting that shit on TikTok. And I just want you to know we are, and it is your fault. You'll be getting Christmas with your dad, and you can spend mid-year school holidays with me.
Yeah.
What do I do on a podcast without you?
Who gets Reese in the divorce?
I am not organized enough to make a list every week. It just ends up being me doing mad ADHD shit. Yeah, that's all I bring to the table.
Probably be more successful than this.
I mean, maybe. I don't know. Feels like it's really hard to carve out a niche in this particular brand of
yeah, but we've been carving
content.
We've been doing this for a while.
Yeah, we've been doing, and that's the thing. He was like, I've been watching them for years, and I was like, oh, and then I was like, wait, no, we have been doing this for years,
yes.
So that is still very possible. Anyway, so yeah, no, still love you.
Thanks.
Still my best friend in the whole world. Still the only thing that keeps me connected at the joint some days. So we Gucci.
We good.
Don't stress. If I'm ever cunty, it's just because I'm probably got cramps, okay? Leave me alone. I'm just a girl.
I'm just a little girl.
I'm just a little pretty girl.
Okay, well, good shout out. In other news, I have 2 points. The Sick New World Festival.
Sick New World.
In Las Vegas, that was meant to happen in April or May next year, has been cancelled. A lot of talk about that online. I've seen speculation on various reasons, but I'm just going to say probably didn't sell enough tickets and tried to book Metallica and Linkin Park as headliners. Probably paid too much money in guarantees for that.
Yeah.
And then didn't sell enough pre-sale tickets. So they were like, not doing that.
I think, I have done booking before. Not on the scale of a massive mini fest is about as big as I ever got. But the reality is that that particular audience for those two bands, we cannot withstand full day. I mean, I do because it's part of my job. But for the main part, you're losing that audience quite rapidly, especially post-COVID. I think a lot of people have a lot of health issues following having that illness, you know what I mean? So the reality is that I remember being young and going to those festivals and the headliners being feeling out of touch with the main audience.
Yeah.
It's the people going to festivals, the people that can be out there in the, Nevada sun all day are probably not really as much millennials and Gen X anymore. It's going to be younger viewers. So the reality is your headliners should be probably a Sleep Token, probably a Sleeping with Sirens,
which was part of the controversy around the download announcement.
That's on the other end.
Being like,
why would they headline? It's because it's not for you anymore, guys. I know that sucks,
because they are current and relevant. Also, I remember reading an article that had a different line of attack, basically saying that big artists have now reached a point where they're curating stadium shows to the level of kind of making their own headliners a miniature fest in of themselves.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of artists like a Taylor Swift or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, look at Sabrina after that tour, Era's completely pulled her up.
And while I would maybe quibble at like the need for doing that.
I mean, we
and,
love a quibble.
and my own personal kind of like feelings on it. I do think that bands like Metallica and a Linkin Park like don't really need to headline those big festivals
Yeah.
anymore. Like they could absolutely just like do their own run, do their own show however they wanted, and then would be completely fine. So like to get them on a festival, I feel like you probably have to offer something fairly substantial,
Yeah.
which then creates this massive overhead where you are basically being like, we need to sell this shit the fuck out immediately to at least cover what we've guaranteed
Yeah.
and then maybe make profit off it. And they're probably not doing that, which is why
No.
that shit's getting cancelled like 6 months, 8 months out.
Yeah, I mean, that's my theory. Obviously,
That's my theory.
it's only based on, you know,
It's conjecture.
yeah, like just what I assume is happening. But I don't know. It is the way it is. I'd really just like to see our music industry keep thriving. And so if I
Well,
know
the Australian industry is a whole different kind of like thing in and of itself. Like we're obviously talking about a fest in the States, different environment.
Although we were talking about Download.
True.
That comes here.
I mean, it did. It isn't now.
I don't know. I guess, yeah, I don't know anything about the US sort of. Like I've only ever really worked in
I
Australia.
mean, they have Live Nation Ticketmaster saturation just like we do.
Yeah,
so.
for sure. Yeah, yuck.
Um,
But anyway,
Second point, Knocked Loose were on Jimmy Kimmel,
I know.
which was pretty crazy.
Fucking parasocial relations is so weird because I feel like a proud mother.
Mm.
I'm just like, oh, look at them winning.
It was sick. Cool for them. Stoked for them to keep pushing
Cool for alternative music.
Yeah, stoked for them to keep just pushing the limits of like where they can go.
But did you see the people complaining?
This was what I wanted to bring up. So there was like this apparent controversy of people complaining to Jimmy Kimmel. Now,
Remember the Man Show? Did anyone remember the Man Show?
so I'm gonna say that I don't think that controversy is real.
It's fabricated because it sells headlines.
Because I read the like apparent complaints and like
They're fake.
I was raised on the internet. Like that is a troll.
Yeah.
That is like a shit post.
I mean, I'd do that. No, I wouldn't, but I'd laugh at it.
I'm sorry, but normies aren't writing into Jimmy Kimmel and saying, my son was watching the show and after the third and fourth junt, he started to scream.
I saw that, yeah.
Normies are not going to describe
it as a junt.
the guitar tone of Knocked Loose as a junt because that's fucking hilarious and
So
just
funny,
not real.
for
It's not
sure.
real.
I also started to scream, but the thing is, screaming doesn't necessarily mean bad things in this particular genre of
I
music.
mean, just ask Brian. Like,
yeah, he's screaming the whole time.
He was screaming the whole
Did
time.
you guys watch it?
He's ecstatic.
He was screaming the entire time.
But yeah, I just wanted to say I think the controversy is fake
Bit of rage
and
bait.
silly, little bit of rage bait, but stoked for them to get on TV and now they're on the same league as like a Slipknot playing like
I know.
like the late night show and stuff.
They also like really inspired me. They were like, we just want to like see what we can achieve next. So every time we do something kind of big and crazy, we're like, okay, what else? And that's super sick. Like I know that we have like this cute little podcast that there's not exactly Jimmy Kimmel's not going to have us on his show. Although is he? And maybe that's the point. Woo! Never ever hold down your own dreams.
Well, on that point, I saw a post that Brian put up on his Instagram when he was saying that like it was like a couple of days after and he was like, thanks everyone for kind of shouting it out. Huge moment. He was like, we were walking down the hallway in the studio. He's like, and I was looking at all of the like posters and things framed on the wall. And he was like,
his co-workers,
celebrities, presidents,
co-workers,
all of these people. And he's like, and I turned to Isaac and I said, this started in your garage. And Isaac like commented on his post and he's like, never gonna forget it. And I'm like, that's cool.
I'm
That's
happy
like
for them.
understanding like your humble beginnings
Yeah.
and like where you've come from, where you've got to, and like the things you're gonna do next.
I feel like people have been saying that alternative music's been dying since I've been alive. And it's just so funny because when you see like Knocked Loose on Jimmy Kimmel and you're just like, where?
Mm.
Where's the death?
No, it's
Show me the rotten frond.
yeah. All right, should we get into the main show this week?
I think we should.
All right, let's do it. All right, first up for this week, we have Brooklyn trio Bambara, who have announced a new album. It's called Birthmarks. It's due out on March 14th.
I got an ugly birthmark.
Due out on March 14th through Bella Union. This is a cool band. I found them during the pandemic. They put out a record in 2020 called Stray, which I quite liked. I would say this is for fans of like Nick Cave, Ice Age, Death Bells.
Nick Cave and Ice Age and Death Bells, right.
It's kind of like post-punky indie sort of stuff, but also like deep baritone vocals.
Ooh.
So like in that kind of wheelhouse. The lead single from the record is kind of offbeat, has like a film noir kind of like narrative quality to it. I've got a quote here from vocalist Reed Batar, who states, "Pray to Me," which is the name of the single, is about a one-eyed man arriving at a country karaoke night with a knife in his pocket and a plan to win over a girl called Elena, the object of his obsession. His fantasy unravels murderously when he sees her kissing a stranger at the bar.
Grow up. Grow up, dude.
We love a good narrative storytelling.
Oh my God. Love a concept.
Yes.
Love a concept.
But that's pretty much all I've got for notes. So let's just jump in and have a listen. Curious to know what you think on the other side. This is Bambara, Pray to Me.
Let's do it.
When I was a kid, some nights I should arrows in the sky. Stand still, trust that God would not forsake me. Till one came down and took out my eye. Tonight I'm gonna be just like that arrow and take Elena by surprise. Pierce deep and drain her the blood of Christ, and replace it with a flood of mine. Guitar start plucking from the speakers, playing awesome.
That is like the audience that's come over to, because like this had a bit of a resurgence in goth pop, like rock sounding music.
Yeah.
Since Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
And this is obviously not that, but this is like, if you've already started down that path, a great progression from that.
Totally. You could vibe with this.
For sure.
Yeah.
I feel like this one could be for the kids.
And I know I like compared it to Ice Age, and I think like there's a similarity between like what Elias is doing in Ice Age, which is like a similar kind of vocal delivery, very like baritone focused vocal, but also like quite narrative focused.
Yeah, for sure.
And that also kind of aligns with like Nick Cave, which also has like a big kind of like narrative element to it. So like, yeah, I could see people who were like into Nick Cave in the 2000s, into Ice Age in the 2010s, would definitely fuck with Bambara in 2020. Are you making fun of me in my hands?
Yes.
Can you see
Ooh,
my hands
look at my
in the
cute
frame?
nails. They look pretty.
Yeah, it's cool. And
Agreed.
I'm excited to listen to Birthmarks.
I think that people don't understand how serious karaoke night is in a country town. Okay? That's a sacred evening. That's akin to a Sunday morning mass. And so like there's this has actually got more of a Kill Bill energy to it than you think.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like you come into the chapel and then starting a fight, there's something sacrilege there.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because, bitch, I tear up karaoke night in a country town. Those guys think nothing better than a supportive country community. Those guys think I am the best singer in the world, genuinely. And everyone else who's good at singing that does karaoke that night, they also think they're the best singer in the world. They will ride for you, those like drunkard old men at karaoke night in a country town. They're like, hell yes.
Did you just call them drunkard?
Yeah, kind of. Sorry. Love you.
What are you, a fucking bard?
Love you, Phil.
Next up for Side A. Now, we featured Southern California metalcore veterans Bleeding Through on the pod back in September.
We did.
And they've now announced their long-awaited full-length album. This one's called 9 because it's
The 9th one.
Yeah, there you go. Very good. She got there.
She's been paying attention.
This one drops on Valentine's Day next year, February 14th.
Romantic.
Through Sharp Tone Records. Now, they put out previous singles, Our Brand is Chaos and Dead But So Alive, which is the one that we featured in September. And the record arrives 6 years after their previous LP, which was called Love Will Kill All. I remember enjoying that record. But
Wish they released that on Valentine's Day,
it
really.
did come out in 2018, so it feels like forever since I listened to it. I have a quote from vocalist Brandon Shapati, who says, "There's so much passion and aggression on this album. If you're a fan of us, you won't be let down. This is everything we've been working towards. This is the culmination of 25 years. This is bleeding through in its purest form."
Yeah, I think like we said this something similar on the last release is like they're coming into their own in a lot of ways. There's a confidence about this band at the moment that I really love. It's like we know our audience, we know what they want, and right now we're looking to just give them that and nail that. And I love that. I love that as the stepping stone.
I mean, like, I could talk for an entire podcast about metalcore.
Should we make a podcast or something?
About metalcore and trends in metalcore and like trying to hop on like what's trendy or what's cool. And they are firmly not that. Like they're a band that like has had a very distinct sound throughout their entire career.
And that's what they've been interested in doing.
And that's what they're interested in doing. And they are still refining that, still experimenting with it, but they're not trying to trend hop or do anything vastly different than what you would expect them from doing.
No, I agree.
Which I think is cool. So let's have a listen to the album single. This is Bleeding Through, Path of Our Disease.
Okay, let's do this.
Let's go. Thoughts?
I loved it. Who was the guest vocal?
That wasn't a guest vocal.
Oh my God. That didn't even sound like, oh, wow.
You're talking about the female vocal at the start?
Yeah.
So that's Marta, who has been, I don't think she is the original keyboardist, but she was the keyboardist on the like seminal records. Like This Is Love, This Is Murderous.
She sounds completely different, but in like I can see that it is her, but it sounds like she's done like a lot of work on her vocals as well. Like it sounds so controlled and clean, and like I liked her in those earlier albums because there was like a rawness to it.
Yeah.
So I guess like in a way that's not as much there anymore, which doesn't make it better or worse really, but just like kind of caught me by surprise.
The start of the song definitely kind of caught me by surprise because it does start off with just that like very like chugging kind of refrain
For sure.
with a like angelic
A
kind
beautiful,
of, like,
hauntingly angelic,
like female clean vocal over the top.
For
And I was
sure.
like, at the start of a Bleeding Through song, you expect like blast
For
beats,
sure.
Brandon fucking screaming, you know what I mean? So it just
Yeah.
like threw me for a curveball, and like that does eventually weave its way back in.
That's the best thing about it is the way that you kind of just like, oh, right. It is kind of everything you want in a Bleeding Through song.
Yeah,
But it's different at the same time.
It is different. There isn't really a breakdown in it.
It is the breakdown.
There's kind of like some mid-tempo stuff in there. There's a lot of like, I would call it like festival type beats, you know, like some real like fist pumping.
This is a good circle pit
chanting
song
type
for
stuff.
sure.
Yeah, I think it's cool.
I think it's great for cardio. I'm going to be
It does have a good like running kind of
I'll be running
rhythm to it.
kilometers. That's miles for our American viewers.
Hell yeah, the metric system.
You're welcome.
What's up?
I love the metric system. It's super good. We have a lot of US
We
listeners.
are pro metric system on
I'm
this spot.
pandering.
Moving on, last time we spoke about Philadelphia post-hardcore outfit ASkySoBlack was all the way back in April of this year. They put out a single called Boy Like a Bruise.
Yeah.
And it turns out that was a teaser for a debut full-length record that they've now announced.
Holy shit.
In all of its glory, the record is called Touch Heaven. Will be out on January 31st through the good folks over at Numerality Zine. As the label blurb put it, quote, Touch Heaven cements their identity as an anti-shoegaze alternative rock force as the band takes a more stripped-down approach, trading sonic variation and heaviness for a focus on melody and emotional depth.
But that sounds like shoegaze.
I think the anti-shoegaze is like a little bit provocative, which is
because shoegaze is popping off.
Which is
or shoegaze.
a
is
little contrarian.
I swear
rage
every
there.
week I'm going to slide in a little bit of a rant about the incorrectly defined music of shoegaze.
I mean, based on their previous output, I would not have considered them a shoegaze band or an anti-shoegaze band.
Yeah.
But anyway.
No, I mean,
neither
it's
here nor there.
provocative. It's like you said. It's like,
ruffle
oh,
some
okay.
feathers. I don't give a fuck.
We're saying the opposite. I mean, I don't know. It's provocative in a way that's not negative, which I like.
Yeah.
You know, it's not saying that shoegaze is bad. It's not saying anything about shoegaze.
I mean, I think if you define yourself as anti-anything, that is kind of a value statement.
Nah, I disagree. I think you can just say, we ain't that.
Okay, but there's like...
Please don't call us shoegaze because we're not shoegaze.
In terms of like what a prefix denotes, there's like non-shoegaze,
For
which
sure,
is like
yeah.
not
Owen's
shoegaze.
doing that fucking higher education shit at me right now. I'm sorry I went to a state high school and that's about it. God. Oh, I did TAFE too. 'Cause, you know, I needed to get that tertiary education in engineering.
I got an advanced stream of the record. I've already listened to it. It's fucking great.
We're fancy.
So I highly recommend it, but let's listen to the most recent single. This is ASkySoBlack, You Sit Useless.
Oh, well, right now. Yes, correct. Let's go. Hey.
Hello.
I get why they felt the need to say anti-shoegaze though, because
Okay, explain.
because like the sonic, the tonality of this is what's weirdly getting grouped into shoegaze at the moment,
Yes.
and it's like it's
Erroneously.
not.
So.
Yeah, they feel the way we feel, and I feel supported in that.
I mean, I listen to this and I feel the same way I did about a lot of like early discovery of like post-hardcore
Me too.
and bands that were kind of erroneously getting called like screamo bands.
Yes.
When they were
And
mostly
it was
just
frustrating then.
they were probably closer to like an alternative band or a post-hardcore band.
Mm,
So like you could put that next to Armor for Sleep
for
and
sure.
it would tonally, sound-wise,
You could see them in a live.
it would make complete sense. You put that next to My Bloody Valentine, two completely different fucking things.
Totally.
So like anti-shoegaze
But
is
somehow
correct.
would end up on a bill together in this world.
I mean-
I don't know why.
Provocatively so, yes.
But yeah, I think it's funny. Like, I will just say though, like everything back in the day was either called screamo or emo or like, and like then emo because of that was lodged as like an insult.
Mhm.
Like people thought
Became
that
a slur.
yeah, like people thought if you called me emo, for example, that I was going to be like, fuck you. I'm not fucking, I was absolutely emo. I knew that. My God, all I listened to was La Dispute.
I remember the first time I got called an emo and it was like genuinely confusing to me
For sure.
because I was a dumb kid from the country who just happened to listen to alternative music. And then I moved to a city, went to a, fancy private school that was boys only and whatever.
And then kissed.
And it was like free dress day. And I wore my cool Taking Back Sunday shirt that I liked, that I bought from the record store.
You fucking emo.
And like, I just, I didn't have a side fringe. I wasn't wearing fucking makeup or anything. This is the very early 2000s. So like that could have been the uniform of choice. But I was just a guy wearing a Taking Back Sunday shirt. And one of the like jock dudes at school was like, oh, you fucking emo. And I was like, what?
Oh.
I was like, you don't You don't like Taking Back Sunday?
Who doesn't like Taking Back
It
Sunday?
was genuinely baffling
Was he
to me.
okay?
And I was like, just ignorant of like the entire thing. And I was like, what the fuck is emo? I don't
Yeah,
know.
you were pretty isolated. I mean, like I was 40K into town. I was a townie, and it was very much in the vernacular. In fact, your best friend used to call me an emo all the time, and then go and listen to
but that was-
Paramore in his bedroom.
This is like years later after the fact.
You know who you are, James.
Anyway, I enjoyed the song. I've enjoyed the record. And I would implore any listener who also enjoyed that to pre-order the record. 'cause
My
it's great.
point was about to be, how does shoegaze become a slur? Emo rolls off the tongue. It's easy to say, and it implies you're overly emotional. Well, shoegaze doesn't do any of that.
Shoegaze isn't a slur. I feel
No,
that.
I know. Oh my God. The narrative has been completely derailed here. Emo being misused repeatedly.
Yes.
Shoegaze being misused repeatedly.
Currently, yes.
Emo became a slur because people thought the reason people were getting upset and frustrated at the incorrect use of emo was because they didn't like being considered emo. Was never the issue. The issue was that you were using it wrong. Now we see that with shoegaze. Shoegaze can't become a slur. What, are you going to call people shoes? Oh, yeah, what a shoe. Oh, that guy's a shoe.
Fucking gazer.
What a fucking gazer. Anyway, that was my point. Sorry.
Can we use that as a slur?
I don't know. I don't know because
It sounds too
then-
close to calling people gay, and I don't want to revisit the early 2000s in any other way. So.
I mean, I don't know, man. I feel like at this point that word lost all meaning. And I have seen that that's like gays coming back as like a, that's so gay.
let's bring it back in a 20th century context of just saying like,
Oh, like we're happy?
Things are gay and just like
For sure.
happy. And
Do you want to bring the
lovely.
one about pile of sticks back too? I bet you do, you hateful little bitch.
No.
I'll tell the community.
Moving on. Getting my fucking stick and just like
The straight white guy leaves the room,
pulling you off the stage.
has left the conversation.
Excuse me. Speaking of throwbacks to April, in that month, we also featured Brisbane
month.
Meanjin emo rock meets doomgaze trio Upsetter,
Oh.
and they've come through with a new
What have
2-track
they
single.
done? Yes.
So to jog your memory, the group is a established duo of audio engineers Emily Hopley and Jasper Webb, and they have now looped in a live session drummer in
They
Amy
too
Lee.
had tertiary educations.
Yes, they did.
One of us. One.
New single is called Distance and was recorded, produced, mixed, and mastered by Chris Lalick, who's worked with Wind Waker. We've talked about Chris on the pod before.
Yeah.
And they've also paired this with a second track, which is called Queensland Don't Get Origin, which I believe is a thinly veiled NRL reference.
What do they mean though? Like, what don't they get? Bro, we can't play this. My dad will lose his fucking mind.
Which offers a dark and spiraling counterpart to its sunnier sonic leader.
Okay.
I'm going to play the demo
Sure.
because I think it's the stronger of the two.
Okay. Let it speak for itself.
Distance is great, and it definitely is the sunnier and brighter song, but Queensland Don't Get Origin.
But we're emo.
Well, it has like this really kind of like infectious hook to it and lots of vocal layering, which I particularly like.
I love
It
that.
was just
shit.
more immediate and urgent to me.
Okay.
So I was like, I'm going to play that even though it's the demo. So whatever.
Let's do whatever the hell we want. It's our podcast.
But the previous song that we featured on the pod was Mulaney Drive.
Yeah.
And that was quite a personal song about Emily's trauma.
Our dog is snoring. Sorry, we're going into something very serious.
Incredibly loud snoring from our dog over there. Yeah, so that song was quite heavier,
Yeah, it was
both
gorgeous.
sonically and thematically.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to counterpoint that with this song because it shows that they can do hooky,
Okay.
more kind of like dynamic stuff
Okay.
as well.
As well.
So there's a lot of
They got
potential in the group.
range.
They got range.
Imagine having a bunch of engineers just making a band. Those guys are the ones who math this shit out.
Indeed.
Alright.
Let's have a listen. This is Upsetter, Queensland Don't Get Origin,
Well, you did upset her.
the demo.
You did upset her. Her is me.
Conversations with you. Nothing but like
Whoa.
It's so good.
Did you guys write this for me?
We were looking at the lyrics on Bandcamp, and I noted to you that their little like description has them as sobrock.
Yeah, so
which is
good.
great. Love that.
I love sobrock. I only listen to rock.
We were
that makes
talking
me
about
sad.
genre categories being used incorrectly. This is a case of creating your own that is like hyper specific to what you do. Sub rock is perfect.
It rock, we sub.
Yes. I love this.
So good. Really good.
That chorus line of like, I'm stuck dreaming.
Yeah.
Like, perfect.
For sure.
Works so good.
It's very catchy. I see what you mean by that. It is super catchy. It's
Yeah.
also just like, yeah, there's nothing quite like having people in your life kind of take a different path to you, for sure.
I think the idea of like, we've talked about this, maybe not on the pod, but in conversations outside of it.
I don't know. We pretty much say everything we say outside of the pod on the pod.
But like, you know that phenomenon of like when you have an interaction with someone and then like post that you like work,
Interject things you wish you said.
you workshop all of the things that you wish
Yeah.
you said, and
For
then
sure.
like the counter to that is like
in the shower.
imagining a conversation that you've never had with someone that you wish you had.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, for sure. I think like at a point, I remember like we all went to dinner with a mate once, and like he was real good, real well behaved for like most of it, and then right at the end just started saying Kanye shit is what I'll call it.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone got annoyed, and he was like, "Oh, you guys can talk about whatever you want," but this like, I think like the rest of the night we were just talking like platitudes. No one ever brought up anything weird, and it's kind of this unique type of mental illness where it's like, I don't know if there's any like logic into that person's thinking. I don't know if they actually believe in anything they're saying because they kind of don't make sense at the same time either.
Yeah.
But it's hard to kind of get to a point where it's like our paths have turned in such different directions. It's like, how does this friendship survive that, you know? Because everyone says like be there for your friends, and especially day ones, like, and sometimes it is a mental health crisis, and it's like it's so hard to see through all of that when you fundamentally disagree with like everything they're saying to you.
I was listening to an unrelated podcast, and they were talking about this piece that was going around, I want to say maybe like a year ago, about people weaponizing therapist speak and therapist
Jonah
language
Hill.
to kind of like, I don't know, like cut off friendships or to like basically just like being mean to people, but using therapist language of like, I have to
set my boundaries.
I have to set a boundary,
Yeah.
and that means not doing anything with you anymore. And it's like, well, you could just say that you don't want to be friends anymore. You don't have to
Yeah.
like make it sound like we're doing a therapy session.
I don't know. I think that a lot of us don't have the ability to set boundaries though. And so we needed to go see a therapist to be able to verbalize
To
that.
articulate what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. I
Say
guess
that.
the relevance here is that the like you can't live your life completely devoid of trauma. And I feel like
people grow apart.
the focus on trauma in all of its various facets is like an integral part of human connection.
Totally. Life is
And,
pain.
and like, you know, I don't know who needs to hear this, but like conflict is not abuse.
No.
Like sometimes you will just have conflict with other people for various
sure.
reasons.
It
and,
is
like,
at the end of the day up to you to decide what you're willing to deal with and what you aren't.
Exactly.
But yeah, you don't have to like do a Facebook post about it or anything, man.
No.
You can just stop talking to them.
Yeah, and ultimately like it is your choice in how you handle it. But you can't. I feel like if you live your life trying to kind of like bubble wrap yourself from any kind of like negative interaction with anyone, then you're like shortchanging your own life because
That's so true.
you're gonna have like
Why? I feel like you're saying this to me specifically
I'm not.
on the podcast. He's right.
anyway, good song.
Really good song.
Not sure what
Thought-provoking,
not sure what
beautiful.
the origin reference has to do with any of that.
I
but
do. I know.
It's funny.
I know. I know what it has to do with it, babes. I get it. I get you.
Final track for Side A this week is another Australian. artist. This one slid into my DMs last week, and I'm glad that the band did. So thank you for that. This is a new single from an outfit called Red Moon Cowboy.
Ooh.
New band on my radar. They hail from the old whaling town of Albany in Western Australia.
Right.
So other side of the country. And the band are...
But they don't whale anymore.
No, they haven't for many years.
Because that's not allowed.
The band are, quote, carving their own voice through folkloric and deeply intimate storytelling, characterized by their longing and deep emotional intensity.
Cool.
Latest cut from the band is called Find Me, and it is a heavy post-punkish kind of track. It's got a hypnotic vocal line, and again, this one is reminiscent of Nick Cave, or maybe even Aussie success story Dust. So I would say if you enjoyed the Bambara track from earlier in the show, you will probably fuck with this as well. I've got a quote on the single that Find Me is a love song gone wrong. The feeling of self-pity and guilt in the face of failed relationships with an ending that satisfies with cathartic car yelling payoff.
Ooh, car yelling payoff.
Love a good car
I
yell.
fucking know exactly what that means.
Grew up in a country town. I know exactly what that means.
Payoff.
Let's have a listen to the track. This is Red Moon Cowboy, Find Me.
Let's do it.
Blackview, operating with Taffy. Real love isn't easy. In fact, it's called blind. The best way forward is with 2 steps back. But it feels quite nice to feel the heat in my face. And the newfound feeling.
Sure. For sure.
Has like that like wistful, almost like Western or like spaghetti Western like guitar kind of like tone throughout the middle.
It has that Western accent.
Yes. And it really just kind of like picks up, has a big like bombastic kind of finish to
For
it.
sure.
The cathartic car yelling component.
Yeah, definitely. It's actually like just giving me this weird nostalgic vibe for some reason, and I can't quite place it. But yeah, it feels like something you'd listen to on your Discman on like a family road trip or something. Because car screaming vibes. But yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, it's great.
Genuinely really impressed. That's
I'm
sick
stoked
track.
that they sent it through. I believe they're working on some kind of release, possibly an EP or something.
Yeah, well, we'll be here waiting.
Yeah, definitely keen to see what they do next, and stoked that they sent it through.
Give it.
That brings us to the end of Side A for this episode. Let's jump over to Side B, keep the show rolling. If you would like to finish off the rest of the show, you can find Side B over at Patreon, patreon.com/TPDpod.
Patreon.com/TPDpod. Not pod. TPD pod.
Yeah, we've got more tracks over there, got a feature album, lots of fun stuff.
And we show our feet. Just a little bit of feet stuff.
Yeah, definitely not a lie. There will be feet.
There won't be feet. I get Reynards, so my feet are purple, and there's nothing pretty about a purple foot.
Maybe someone's into that. Maybe they pay a pretty penny for purple feet.
For sure. That's who I want to look at him.
All right, let's do Side B. Let's
go.
See ya. Subscribe now to the Pitch of Discontent Patreon to receive access to extended cuts of our bonus episodes, as well as exclusive behind-the-scenes content, monthly Patreon-only episodes, member-only votes, the TPD community chat, and much more. Go now to patreon.com/TPDpod and join for as little as $5 a month. That link again is patreon.com/TPDpod. Thanks for watching the show.